All right, so everyone, we've got a hack. We used to have one hack a week. It used to be at least $100 million a week lost on crypto exchanges. After a little sabbatical, we're back with Nomad Crypto Bridge. So I'll read you the headline, I'll tell you how it happened, and then let's see if we can go find it, like a safari adventure hunt, and just go figure out exactly what happened.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'd like to get the official link. Here's the link. When there's a hack like this, one nice part about this is to see when it was discovered and then when it was announced. As soon as you acknowledge the incident, the rug pull / bad press stops. But that doesn't relieve your responsibility to actually say what happened. Here's Nomad at 7:25 p.m. yesterday, New York time, saying we're aware of an incident. And then 2 hours later, we're aware of impersonators trying to pretend they're us and take your money. 10 hours later, we're aware of many friends that are acting proactively to safeguard, and we're working around the clock to address the situation. And in the meantime, while they're busy not talking on PR, The Verge managed to get an entire article out and explain what happened. So I don't like this. I don't like how they probably know what happened, but it takes, you have to read third parties to even understand what's going on. I don't like that. Instead, I'd like a thread, maybe from whatever a Nomad is, be like, hey, here's what broke. That goes against security by obscurity. But yeah, guess what? Someone else is going to announce it.
But also there's probably there's legal risk, because the more they say publicly, the less room they have to tell a story later on if they need to.
Right, it paints them into a corner. Oh, we didn't know. Oh yeah, we knew there's a hack, but we didn't know the extent of it. That's right. Why some employees in our company that blah, blah, blah. Okay, so basically what happened was, how do I get onto the A16Z security team? Do they really have an in-house security team? And who is Nasty?
We can look them up on LinkedIn.
Okay, claims to be CISO.
So 10 months ago they hired, I guess this is NAS, there's an article, before joining A16Z. Oh, it's also CTO. There's a second guy, and they created the custody infrastructure for Novi, which was the wallet at Facebook, before joining A16Z. So I guess Facebook canceled their wallet project, and then these guys just joined A16Z just in time for the hack.
Basically what's going on is that this is called transaction malleability. So this is where one transaction is created and approved, but then you can modify the transaction and it's still approved. This can be a cryptographic flaw. So this can be where the cryptography allows a signature of one thing to be applied to a different thing. Let's call this statement 1. Let's make a category here. Okay, let's just draw it first. It's not really a signature, it's kind of like an authorization, like a proof of authorization. This is the exact problem. And so this can be transaction malleability. If you're going to be on a blockchain and you're going to authorize a transaction on-chain, this is what on-chain means, that means you're going to provide a signature to the blockchain, and it's going to assess whether this thing is authorized. All of the hacks that we hear about typically relate to some type of a signature. So this is going to be something where you've got a transaction that's performed on-chain, but there's a signature that is somehow connected to some type of action. So for OpenSea, for Seaport, that's going to be some list of transfers that you want to perform, and then some ETH signature. For zero-knowledge proofs, which was the topic of last week, this might involve some type of, could be a zero-knowledge proof, for a roll-up that's not a zero-knowledge proof, this could be some type of a attestation with a type of deposit, a stake, and then is released somehow with a signature. These are the type of things that would be happening with a signature. But one of the types is malleability. This is where maybe the transaction TX is signed, but then can be changed, but the original or changed version can only be used once. So there is one nullifier. Okay, what does that mean? There's GM17. I'm giving you a preview of something that's going to get hacked in the future, because there's not enough published about this. Malleability is when you can sign one transaction, read the GM. Okay, here's how it works basically. If you are using a zero knowledge proof system, you're going to get some number, you're going to perform a cryptographic signature on it, and you're going to get a proof. And then you're going to use a lot of other stuff that I'm waving my hands about. One of the issues with this is that if you sign a specific number and then you multiply that number by another number, 2, 5, then you can calculate the signature for the multiplied version, even if you don't have the private key. Huge problem. Usually it's not a problem. So if you've got a nice big random fat hashed thing that you sign and you multiply it by 2, that big fat hashed thing doesn't matter that you have the signature because you don't know what hashes to it. But if you can trick somebody to sign the number 1, well, 1 times anything is a good number that you can use. And so that's a problem. This is the exact attack I want to try against Signal. Signal uses zero knowledge proofs for something, and I'm going to try this attack on them. So we'll see. This is malleability. Now also, a lot of the ways that these systems are made, if you change the transaction, malleability, and you play it, you perform the action, you either get one or the other. This attack on Nomad is not that. This attack is multiple. So you can perform the transaction, perform malleability, and transact the other one. Just like this. So you've got 2 different statements going into the same exact signature. So this is even worse than that. A collision. You have 2 different things that hash into the same thing. That's a problem because you would take the first one and that would be innocuous. And you'd say, okay, I want you to sign this. And you're like, okay, I signed that. But then you go perform the second transaction. And that's exactly what happened with Nomad. So the transaction was something like, hey, I want to withdraw from this bridge. And this is totally, expected. That was signed. And then you can perform this other action like, hey, I'm some random person that wants to take money out of the bridge. And that's the one that also applies with the signature. So again, all of these attacks and zero knowledge proof tricks and things involving signatures, they're always not on-chain. They're always not using on-chain checking of authenticity. They're always using some fancy mechanism. And that's where they're getting hacked. Because again, Ethereum is people treat it as $1 trillion thing, but then Nomad started off as probably thousands of dollars and then got bigger and bigger and bigger and never upgraded their security. Now, and when it's over $100 million, that's when they get hacked. You don't hack $1,000 projects. Let's go see if we can find the code before we get the answer here. And let's review it together.
It was QuantStamp.
QuantStamp is an audit firm.
A legit one.
They have a reputation. Just to compare...
Not anymore.
Why? I didn't read this, so I don't want to talk smack. I am saying that I've done audits, and I recently wrote the smart contracts for Light. There's a bug bounty, and if you find a bug, I will pay you. So we'll see if there was a problem, if QuantStamp didn't find it, if QuantStamp will actually pay money towards this. So let's see. Yeah, I'd like to find this contract. Okay, nobody's found it yet. So here's how you find smart contracts. You just screenshot it, copy the text from the screenshot, then you go to Etherscan, and then you search the contract source code for that comment, and don't use enter because that doesn't work. Oh nice, hacked previously, in January too. Even figuring out what you're looking for can get confusing.
The crypto news sites, they link to the tweets.
Hiko chain bridge, Qubit Q-bridge. Lots of transactions, not recently.
It's insane that it's taken that long to find.
And everything just links to this tweet. And even since then, they lost another 100 million since that last tweet. Now let's read the code. Oh, upgradable, upgrade beacon proxy. That's my favorite. Sarcasm. Implementation, delegate, get implementation. So the second problem is that this is upgradable.
I wonder what that address is. It'd be funny if it was just like the founders.
How do I read the code? Read as proxy. Because when you get hacked, and it happens, and somebody's got to read, 32 files of code on an upgradable contract, they could change at any point. It's nice to be able to do that quickly. Home router. I feel like the easiest way to... So this is how you investigate a contract with a beacon proxy. And you figure out where does it point. This should probably be easier. Here's how I do it. You pull up any transaction on that smart contract. So here's one from OXA1 to our target OX88. Then we open the parity VM trace and we see it goes from OXA1 to OX88. Now because it's a proxy, everything inside of it is going to be static called proxied to another contract. And here that is, OX88 into OXB7. So we're going to open that, and then other stuff happens. Just for fun, we can pick a different one of these transactions. This one's from OX40. Maybe it's from the same place. This transaction is from OX36, again into OX88. And again, we do the parity VM trace. So here's OX36 into OX88. And yet again, OX88 blindly directly goes to OXB7. So OXB7 is where this is going. Because this is a cool contract, because so many people are looking at this, now it's a great time to take this contract and to send spam tokens here. So if you send like 0.001, ERC20 tokens called like recovermynomad.com, then anybody who opens this page is going to see recovermynomad.com like right here. All right, so now we actually have an upgradable beacon contract. Stores the address of an implementation contract. So all this effort was just to figure out who is storing the implementation contract. Implementation, cool. And we still don't know where it's going. So let's go back here. From OXB7, now that it's figured out who it wants to send it to, it's going to send it to OX15.
But ask OXB7, which contract should I use?
Right. So that's called the beacon, is where am I going to get this from?
Because it can be changed.
Mm-hmm. Now let's see if the beacon itself, upgrade beacon. The controller is capable of modifying the implementation address. Great. Okay. The implementation address is held in storage slot 0 because it's not immutable. Okay. Upgrade event is emitted each time there's a... Okay, so it was upgraded here. It was upgraded here.
42 days ago.
Both by the same entity. So from OXA5, whatever that is. So this is a plain address that is an externally owned account. So that means somebody has a password for this account. Now's a nice time to troll about this real fast. See, it's not even mentioned anywhere. With knowing just a little bit here, here's a nice time to announce a new 0 day. Thanks, OXFoobar. OXA5. And can I get their website? I want to quickly...
Nomad's website?
Yep, got it.
Nomad.xyz.
Cool. And then we just want to quickly search their site to see if that address is mentioned anywhere. Oh, it's not. And so I'd like to just take this quick opportunity to just shout them out and say, no, you shouldn't be doing that. And other people might call that trolling. Well, everyone's doing that. Yeah, because everyone's wrong. You're all driving on the wrong side of the road. I'm on the right side of the road. That's one thing we just found by looking at this. Okay, so now that we found the address that it's upgraded to, how did that help us? So first it makes the one call to figure out what is the address. Then it makes the second call to that address, OX15, which is the router. So look, that just cost us 20 minutes. That just cost every single person 20 minutes who's doing incident response on $200 million that's lost. So that's one reason you shouldn't have upgradable contracts. Also, we just found that the whole system is entirely centralized. One person can just take everything. So that's a nice hot wallet. So now that we found the thing, we can inspect it a little bit. The process function. Okay. Can I just search everything at once? No. Router. They're all calling this one function called process. Here's the function. Here's the malleability. Messages, message hash. Okay, so there's some type of a message, and it's going to be checking the domain of the message. M equals message ref 0. Ref is probably some special function here that we can't see what it does because Solidity is fancy like that. And so it's going to check probably like the prefix of the message or something for some domain. Then we're going to check where it's going. Then we're going to see if it's already been used before. And then there's some re-entrancy check. And then it's marked as entered equals 0. Okay. Update the message status. Call. So it's going to go somewhere. It's going to perform some action that's been authorized. Then it's going to process. And then it's going to set entered. Okay. So it's not a re-entrancy attack. Doesn't seem to be. And probably one of these checks up here isn't working so well. I'm going to guess that there's probably So two things are happening. One is that the same transaction, the same authorized message, however it's authorized, seems to be running multiple times. I don't see the signature check. I guess that's done somewhere inside of here. And it's not the message hash. So maybe they're able to modify the message and it's hashing differently each time. And so then that's not marked as done. So it's getting to run a second time. So if you try to, oh, this isn't nice. Let's get this. Okay, cool screenshot. I like how it's got the error message right in there. So you can't just call the same thing twice. Bridges seems to allow the user to pass an arbitrary amount that they can withdraw, not related to the amount in the other chain. That is pretty bad. It seems like so robots, this is another thing you gotta watch out for, these MEV robots. So if you have any alpha, if you have any transaction on Ethereum that just produces money because you've hacked something or because something's just waiting for someone to collect it, and you sign that transaction and you send it to the network, robots will take every single transaction and instead of sending it from you, they send it from them. And if it's worth it, they just do it. So watch out for that. I can't see much deeper than this, but that's my guess on the record. Just reading a few lines of code. When the postmortem comes out, that's what it'll be. I'm not gonna go much deeper into this because there's nothing left to hack, so I'm not gonna spend all day hacking this. It doesn't help me or anybody else. What we did learn today is how to trace these smart contracts. There's multiple layers here. Just figuring out the next layer was a whole layer just to find layers. This situation sucks. I think of this situation when I'm making things and I'm like, A, how do I avoid this happening? And B, when it does happen, how do I make this so simple that we can clean up after this, or we can at least understand what happened? And I don't like these different layers and layers and layers. It's really painful. But yeah, this is gonna continue to happen. That sucks. We still don't have a best practice here for bridges, and bridges are not easy. And people ask me, well, why don't we just make one bridge that solves them all? And there's an XKCD for that. You can't just make one bridge. You got to make a new bridge every time you've got a new technology, and it is not easy.